So how was that? Sounds Pacers game. I don't know. I saw you were up there.
It was good. You know, makes for kind of a late night being able to go up and back right there in the same on the same day. But I was really happy to do it, and great to see both DeAndre and TJ. And TJ got the win, and at times he might have been one of the best players on the court. Just great to see him have such a positive impact as an NBA player, and I know the Pacers really, really love him.
He's been having a pretty good year this year. Have you been paying attention to him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's had a pretty good 5 years. If you look at his productivity and especially for the amount that he makes money-wise, he may have outperformed his contracts more than any player in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's been valuable to a rebuilding project in Philly, and they eventually became a playoff team. I know they hated to lose him, and then just kind of watching him play last night, he clearly has command of the court when he's in the game.
So last time you played against ASU was not too long ago. What do you remember about that game and what your team was able to do?
Well, we had a long stretch of practice before the last game, and our team was really focused. I mean, we had not a great week. We had a really good 10 to 14 days of practice, and that really led into a good performance in the game. Our rebounding was in place, and I think that's where it starts with us. When we're a good rebounding team, when we do a great job as a group, guards rebounding, bigs rebounding, starters, and then subs coming in and making an impact in that area. That's a big stat for us. And if you look at, I think both our Colorado and Arizona State games, we did a really good job rebounding the ball. And then we also got a couple key second shots that sparked us. So we really rebounded the ball well in that game, and that will be just as important on Saturday night.
How did the week go this week? You had an extra day. I mean, were you guys able to? Did you spend it working on more anything in particular on yourselves?
Yeah, we play these guys twice in a short period of time, and I think not the break, but just like the fact that we only have one game, it still comes at a good time for us because we have so many new faces and players, and anytime we have a chance to continue to work on what we do, I think it's a positive thing, especially for this year's team. So, we try to do the best we can this week of preparing for Arizona State, obviously, but maybe getting an additional day of rest, recovery, and allowing our guys to be fresh and as healthy as we can be. And then maybe spending one extra day with attention to Arizona. What are the things that we need to continue to develop? So we've had a good week so far. I mean, we still have both today and tomorrow, and then obviously Saturday night is the game. So we're not there yet.
So the last 4 games, when you've looked at ASU, you see anything different popping out at you? I know it's only only been a couple of weeks.
I think 2 really key players for ASU is Rob Edwards. We have a lot of respect for him. He had a really good season a year ago, and I think in both games impacted our game when we played them a year ago. In game 1, he wasn't maybe as aggressive as I've seen him here recently, and just following ASU, both in their win at Oregon State and the most recent game against Utah. He's a tremendous shooter, and he's bigger. He's more of a wing player than a guard, in that, he's got size, and in transition he can really make shots. And when he's playing with confidence, adding to their scoring punch, I think he's a real difference maker in their team. And I think they're really trying to get him more good looks in their half-court offense. And then, Romello White, I think he's much improved from where he would have been a year ago. He's been a big factor in their success. He's in his 3rd year. Had a really good freshman year, solid sophomore year, and he's having a great junior year here. So, he's a big guy who's a double-figure scorer. He's a terrific offensive rebounder, runs the court really, really well. And again, as their season has grown, I think they're more aware of, trying to get the ball to him in the low post because, good things happen when he gets it there. So, Edwards and White, we have to do a really good job on those guys. And whether you're the player assigned to guarding them, team defense, blocking out, being aware of Edwards off the ball. Again, transition is so big. When you run good offense and you take care of the ball, the other team just doesn't get the easy ones against your team. And, that's one of our strengths this year is taking care of the ball and being able to play in that game with 10 or fewer turnovers. That's a second big indicator.
Is it more difficult to win on the road these days than it was when you first got here?
No. Winning on the road in college basketball is very difficult. It always has been. It crowns the conference champion. It separates maybe a fair season from a good one, or instead of having a good year, you have a great year. And, our team is well aware that, we really haven't broken through in our road games. In fairness to us, we've certainly played a couple tough ones on the road, and we've been in single possession games, especially at Oregon and at Baylor. But, kind of looking at us moving forward, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. We know it's going to be a really, really difficult game, and they have a good atmosphere there. So, and it's not just playing, the fact we're playing ASU. A conference road game is next up for us. So, it's a challenge, and we have to be ready. Like I mentioned after the Oregon trip, this year's team, our team, we have to play well. We have to have a good performance. We're not going to overcome, inadequate or poor play from individuals or an area of the game and come out on the winner's circle. The margin, the difference in our depth, talent, et cetera, isn't astronomical. And our room for error is, like a lot of good teams. And it's just if you have a little bit, that means you better play well, especially on an away court. And, and really that's our focus. How well can we play? Can we be at our best?
Talk about the margin. What can't you afford to happen?
Rebounding is big for us because, a defensive rebound triggers our best offense. And just generally speaking, when you give up second shots, it breaks your back. It leads to dunks and ones, three-point plays, puts fouls on your key players. And, by the way, you made a miss, but you didn't get any value from it. So I think that's really up there. And then, for us, being good on offense, taking really good shots, and simultaneously really valuing the ball, making simple plays, taking care of it, going long stretches where we don't turn it over because we're capable of doing that. Even in our recent games, I think Zeke had 6 turnovers, and then separate from that, Josh had 6 turnovers, in our Colorado and Utah game. But, our team had 11, for the game. So, you have a lot of players playing minutes with a total of 5 turnovers. And so not to have that one player with a big turnover night, and, that spurs 3 more shots at the basket. And I like our chances of making 2 of those.
Talk about White and Edwards. Remy Martin's got five 20-point games in the Pac-12. 20 against you guys, you made him work for it. I mean, what's kind of been the key with him? Or do you let him just shoot a lot if you can, if you can make him tough, I guess?
No, Remy Martin, I mean, he's the given. I look at him as game in, game out. He's going to impact the game the way he plays. I mean, he does it on defense. He rebounds the ball for a guard really well. He makes and takes big shots, big moments. He's always involved. He not only gets his own shot, but he creates quality open shots for his teammates. He's older. He's in his 3rd year playing in this conference. And, I think he's ASU's heart and soul for sure. Statistically, he averages 20 points a game. And there aren't many, guards who average 20 a game. And, you look at his assist total and his rebounding and how many times he gets to the free throw line. In 18 games, he's shot almost 100 free throws, which is very, very high. He's super, super aggressive. And, what I love about him is, I think he's a great competitor. He brings it game in, game out, and he does it on defense and on offense, and he's really he's a winner.
Where does he rank among maybe some of the toughest ASU players that you faced?
I don't know. I mean, there's over 11 years, you just heck, I'm starting to forget a few, things that happened a long time ago. But I would say for, his overall meaning to the team that he's on, I don't know if there's been a player that has any greater meaning towards winning than Remy has for his team this year.
Nico and Josh have been obviously pretty mature guys. Do you have any concern about them going back to Phoenix and, their emotions or whatever in this game?
No, I don't. It's always a big game playing on the road in our conference, especially up there in Phoenix. But those two guys have been in a lot of big games, and now, they enter that phase as a freshman where, they've started 18 games. They've been at this since early October. So you start going through the months there. We're almost 4 months deep. So, at some point you look at them as, hey, they're freshmen, but they're different types of freshmen in that they've been through a lot of experiences. And, in their case, they've been through a lot of experiences before they ever came here as well.
Is there anything different about the approach of having back-to-back road weekends, or do you not even look at the second one until the first is over?
You really have to take, everything a single moment. Yeah. And in each of our schedules, at some point you're going to have more home games, more road games. You're going to have a week off with your rival. You're going to be in it for 3 or 4 weeks in a row where you're playing two. So, I think you just kind of take it one at a time.
Is there a point, Sean, because you have three very good ones, where the freshmen don't or aren't considered freshmen anymore?
I'd say right about now. I mean, we're about 70 practices in, 18 games. People look at maybe third week of January as that midway point in terms of the games, but add the practices, we're over halfway. And, I think when you're in conference play and you've been on the road a couple of times, you've played home games, right about now I think you settle in.
What's up with Chase? Is he back or out?
We're starting to implement him back, non-contact first, and then he moves towards actual practice. So I really don't know, if he would be able to play. If he is able to play, how much he would play. Where he's at. We're taking it one day at a time.
Along with the question with the freshmen, you say now, does it change at all, given that you have three very good advanced freshmen? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the difference for our freshmen is they. When I talk about room for error, in all fairness to them, we need all three to play well all the time. They carry a big burden, a big weight. They have a lot of responsibility. Some of the freshmen we've had in the past have all been really terrific, but they've been able to at sometimes be a freshman in a game, and our team still be able to win because of the supporting cast and maybe a couple guys that have been here before. We believe in our supporting cast. It's very, very important that our supporting cast plays well, but who plays the most minutes, takes the most shots, has the most responsibility, Nico, Josh, and Zeke. And it's been that way from game one through right now, and we're really fortunate to have them. Those guys all, in their own respective ways, are having, incredible freshman seasons. My hope is that they continue to get better and more comfortable, because in each of their cases there's a big, big upside. I mean, they could just continue to develop. Like Nico the other night, the way he rebounded, it's something he wouldn't have been as comfortable doing maybe even a month ago, and it's great to see him start to do that. That really helps our team, makes him a better player as well. Same thing with Josh, his overall rebounding, that versatility. Zeke got fouled 13 times over the weekend. It's hard to get fouled 13 times in back-to-back Pac-12 games. I mean, that shows you, him being in the right position, him being physical. That's a dominant stat right there. So, and that's something that I think him getting fouled, it holds tremendous value for his team.
The McDonald's, they're going to name that roster pretty soon here today. I mean, do you have an expectation about Dalen, or do you think it's a long shot?
I don't. I don't have a vote.
What do you think? I mean, you've seen him. I mean, it seems that he's rated anyway, right on the cusp of it. What's your thoughts on kind of where he measures up in this class anyway?
I mean, I could speak on Dalen's ability. I'm similar to Zeke. It doesn't really matter to me or us where he's rated. We believe in him as a player. We've watched him very closely. We've seen him play against not only tremendous competition in the spring and summer on that circuit, but also with his own high school team. And he's a great competitor. He does it on defense and on offense. You could play him at a number of different places on the court, but he's a great passer, fun guy to play with, and we're really excited to have him. How that translates into the All-American games. I hope he makes it.
Did you get a chance to see him when you were up in Phoenix yesterday, or have you? Yeah,
No.
I know it's tough during the season, but I don't know if you had a chance to either see him or watch any Hillcrest video or anything.
No, we follow him closely, but I've seen him a couple of times early, but not recently.
You were saying after the Colorado game that when Dylan Smith has an off game, you guys really feel it, and then when he has a good game, your chemistry is really going. So what does he have to do to be more consistent?
Right, that's what we want from Dylan is consistency. He doesn't have to score 26 points and make 6 threes for us to say, hey, you played well. And and I think on the contrary, he doesn't have to have a bad game where he doesn't impact the game in any way. You want to avoid both of those in some ways, right in the middle. But I thought his play over the weekend was a big reason that our team played well. When he takes what the defense gives, Dylan's percentage speaks for itself as a shooter. I mean, you give him an open look. Right now through our 18 games, he's been maybe the most consistent three-point shooter we have in games. And taking care of the ball when he's solid in that area, that's a big deal. And I think if he's not our overall best defender, he's one of two. And him not fouling and being locked in, and he did a really good job again this past weekend defensively. And when he's solid, it becomes contagious. It helps other people, be solid on defense. And you talk about experience. There's nobody on our team who's more experienced than Dylan. Whether that's here at Arizona or the fact that he's in his 5th year. So, he's an important part of what we do, and we want him to be solid. And for the most part this year, this is the best season that he has had at Arizona, and he has to continue to be solid. He's solid in practice. He competes really hard in practice, and that's one of the things that we love about him. And, you just want him to translate that right into the game, kind of do his job, be really solid, and that makes our team good.
When you think about him and you're talking about defining roles, I mean, do you think his role has changed as far as, like, it seems like he's helping you a lot on both ends of the court? Has that evolved, or, kind of where do you peg him right now anyways?
Yeah, I mean, he's shooting 43% from three, with 31 makes on the season, which is impressive. And, he's shooting the same percentage from the field. He has 24 turnovers in 18 games. Think about that, So he's not even at 1.5 turnovers per game, and he's really cut back on that. Defensively, it's so important that he's locked in on his assignment, but also, like, for example, rebounding. He can do that better. We've been on him, and I think when both him and Nico are hungry and aggressive to get those defensive rebounds, it really allows us to be even better defensively.
How can Stone become more productive in his starting role?
I think Stone has to settle in just a little bit. He wants it badly, and he's an important part of our team. I think the fact that he started the last 2 games, sometimes that's an adjustment to be in there at the very beginning of each half, and just kind of slow down and take what the defense gives, and just get more used to being in that role that he currently has. But when Stone's in the game, it gives us more space on the court for drives. It's just we have more of a 4-around-1 look on offense, and Stone competes on defense. He really does. And but I think production-wise, we need a little bit more from him, and I'm comfortable, and I think we're all very confident that he can do it.
Do you think you keep him in the starting lineup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Ira doesn't give you that same look you're talking about, obviously, but I didn't know with his production if that was something you were thinking about.
No, I think first things first is, Ira deserves more of an opportunity especially based on his recent performances.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.